Well, hello there, everybody. David Nuño, TexAgs Rewind, saying hello to you again here on a Labor Day. Yes, we're in studio. Yes, we're talking college football, but guess what? It's not a work day because we're doing what you're doing. You're thinking college football. We're just saying it out loud for you as we look back at the first game against Sam. There were some highs, some lows, but mostly highs, really, when you think about it. But we broke it all down here on Monday. Billy was in studio, and Billy gave us his thoughts on the Aggies' first win, some concerns with the offensive line, some concerns there with the interceptions. But that all being said, you win 31-0. Got to feel very good about it. I talked a little bit about my thoughts on the good things that we saw in this one, things that were not discussed enough, like Anaya Smith. What a performance for him, those 2 big touchdowns and the 6 catches. So he was huge. Tom Hart of the SEC Network joined us from Yankee Stadium, gave us some thoughts on SEC in general, and, of course, the big game against Appalachian State. And OB, he loved some things about the Aggies' victory. We broke it all down. It's TexAgs Rewind. Let's go through some of your other loves. The freshman impact, we've kind of touched on it all.
Those guys, those guys look great, including we talked about Shamar Stewart and Walter Nolan, all those Overton.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That guy should be in high school.
Yeah.
And he's out there making plays. I've talked about the receivers, and I thought Denver Harris looks really good out there in corner. So,
I'm ready for another game right now.
Those freshmen, they all looked the part.
How about Andre White?
Andre White played really well. Now, I heard he might have gotten hurt. We'll see. We'll find out today.
Yep.
But he deflected one pass that was intercepted. He caused a fumble that was recovered. He deflected another pass, went out there, made 4 tackles. I mean, he had a really solid game, but he made plays. If he can be productive like that, then that the concern about that linebacker spot opposite Edgerrin Cooper, that won't be a concern anymore.
That won't be a concern either. All right, and then the big plays.
Well, we talked about all off season that A&M is going to be a team with more big playability. And when you get touchdowns from 67, 63, and 43, I think you're showing your big playability.
Yep. I want to add that Randy, who's listening, says, I think we shouldn't complain about game 1 for 9 months. We complained about our deep passing game, and that's what we got. Can't have your cake and eat it too. No, but you can't
be both?
You can, because it's America. We're allowed. But I'll say this. While I agree that we got exactly what we wanted, throwing deep, and that was a question, are they really going to be doing that? You can still want to protect the ball and not throw into double coverage or not underthrow guys.
I will, to Randy's point, though, I will say this. Teams that throw the ball deep throw more interceptions.
Yes, they do.
Week 1, Tom, what would you say? And then what was the biggest eye-opener around the league this weekend for you?
Well, I think the best story is Florida. I think that was a huge win, not just for the SEC, but also what it means for the Pac-12. I mean, that was a bad loss. Now, remember, Utah got off to a slow start. Okay, got off to a slow start last year and made it to the Rose Bowl, but I don't think they're making it to the playoffs after losing week 1. And a huge boost to Billy Napier and what he's trying to do and what he's trying to build. The quarterback play was just amazing. As good as Florida looked and as positive an outing that was, the other end of the spectrum in terms of expectations or in terms of, yearly expectations, LSU looked like a tire fire last night in so many different ways.
Yeah.
That was bad, really bad.
Yeah, the one thing you don't want to see are things like those special teams mistakes and the block there at the end and just, golly.
Not enough, I think, has been made about Haynes King returning from injury. I talked about it in the opening segment. I'll talk about it again. When you go 51 weeks without playing a real college football game, and let's not forget, your 3rd career start. That's a lot. That's a daunting task, guys. When you come back from the injury that he came back from, you haven't really played. You are protected in practice, right? You are absolutely protected. Now you're taking on a team that has guys that are out there to stop you, to break you, to force you to throw into bad situations, to come after you. Look, when you haven't played football in that long, I don't care if you haven't done any skill in a long time. It is very hard, especially a skill that, you've played your entire life, but at this level, you haven't. It is a different game. I'm telling you, and I know all of you can speak from experience on this. For me, when I hadn't done radio in years, right, hosting a show, you guys know those first few shows for me, like, It was fun. It was exhilarating, but it took a while for me to get into my groove.
I loved the verticality of that passing game and the shots down the field, and more importantly, connecting on those shots. 3 passes. Am I wrong, or were there 3 passes yesterday longer than any the Aggies hit last year for touchdowns?
Yes, and I believe the touchdowns were the longest since Ryan Tannehill was quarterback.
That's not true.
I'll read you the stat.
Go ahead and tell you right now that's not true, because Johnny had a 95-yarder to Mike Evans against Alabama.
Oh, yeah, there's that too.
Johnny had an 80-yarder to Ryan Swope at Kyle Field. Yeah, I could go on and on.
Yeah, well, I'm going to read you the note.
They gave a misleading stat, I think, during the game on the scroll.
It says here, Kings 364 to the most by an Aggie. King, sophomore King returned to the field. I'll find it.
It's good radio by the pro.
Very good radio.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? That's all, folks. No, I think I loved the deep passing game and their ability to connect in the deep passing game. I love seeing receivers.
I found it.
Go ahead.
The 2 60-plus yard touchdown
First time
passes
that's happened
since Ryan Tannehill, 2 plus 60 yards.
Okay, nice. That's a great stat right there. That's more than a decade. That's 11 years basically. So I like. And again, somebody say, well, that was against Sam Houston. I go, first of all, there are a couple Longhorns in that secondary. That's a couple transfers there that were 5-star recruits back there. And I don't want to make too much of it, because I think Sam Houston, I don't know with how much they lost that they'll be back in that semifinals, national championship game this year. They might be.
They can't.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They can't. But if they were, my point is, without Schmid at quarterback, I keep forgetting the name of the receiver that was so good during their championship run. And if those two guys had played, that game's a lot tougher and tighter yesterday. And it's not. It might have been a little more scoring. You might have seen like 38-10, but it would have been a much 38-14. It would have been a tougher path to get there for the Aggies. But I liked their quarterback, Yates. I thought he was tough. He was tough to tackle. He extended plays. He made a couple really nice throws to move the chains on third down when he was, I guess only one, because they were only one third down conversion. But he did some nice things. He was a good test for the defense to have to chase him around a little bit. But the guy they had prior to that was one of the better ones at that level of football, So I don't think Sam is as elite as they were at that level. I know they're not at that level. They're transitioning. But I still think that's an exceptionally well-coached, hard-playing, with some good transfers, developed players. That is a damn good program at that level. Now, A&M's played, my point is, that team's probably better than New Mexico. That team's better than the Texas State team that came in here a couple years ago by a long shot. A&M's played, they would humiliate Prairie View. A&M's played over an 11-year span a lot worse teams than that one they saw the other day. Hell, they played a couple Sam Houston teams that one's better than, that were really good Sam teams.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for TexAgs Rewind. Why don't you do me a favor? I've always told you to like, comment, subscribe, and share. So do all that. But also follow us on Twitter. Follow Billy. If the fact that Billy doesn't have 100 million followers is your problem, who's watching this, follow him. You can follow me, too, at David Nuño, Dalton, Richard, Bronny. I guess you can follow those guys if you want. Tomas is over here looking at me like, what about me? Just do it. I would like to see it go up by like 9 people right now. Like as soon as they post it, 9 people immediately, and then more. Bye.